Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I'm Vineet Nair with my co host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, sport, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing.
And we're back for episode number 47. Aditya and I are back for another round of quizzing with this brand new episode of Are You Quizzing Me? Your favorite quizzing podcast show. Let's start off today's episode with an audience question, the answer for which will be revealed at the end of the episode. So stay tuned. And the question for today is for you, our dear audience, the first song to air on MTV, which was the first music channel on television, in 1981 was a song by the Bugles, which had a very fitting name, considering the irony of the message that it carried while airing on the very first music video channel. What was the name of the song? Let me repeat the question. The very first song to air on MTV, which was the first music channel on television, in 1981 was a song by the Bugles, which had a very fitting name, considering the irony of the message that it carried while airing on the very first music video channel. What was the name of the song? I apologize to our Gen Z listeners if they feel that this question is slightly outdated, but the irony of this particular answer is just too sweet to pass up. So wait till the end of the episode to find out the answer, and let's now move on to our regularly scheduled programming. Aditya Kashyap is now back with his question from last week. Aditya, take the baton.
The question was, if Seiko was an Indian company, what would it be doing? And the answer, I'm not going to waste anybody's time, is very simple. It would be a direct competitor to Baiju. It would be in the EdTech, because that's how you Seiko in India. That is actually a great way to introduce the fact that for some reason this week I decided of my own accord that I'm going to do a thematic set of questions. So all of my questions share a theme, which we will discover as I go along. Yeah. And Vineet had no clue till just right now that I'm doing this.
By the seat of his pants, ladies and gentlemen, Aditya Kashyap.
That would be me.
Yes. So, Aditya, let me start off today's session with a slight theme round of my own. So, you are aware of aircraft carriers, yes?
Sure.
Yes. So, you may be aware that the United States of America has the highest number of aircraft carriers in the world. And they keep building more.
Okay.
So, something that I discovered recently while randomly watching an episode of NCIS was that aircraft carriers have nicknames based on the people they are named after. Right? So, for example, just to get the ball rolling, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower would be called Mighty Ike.
Right.
So, for today's session, what I'm going to do is to give you the nicknames of certain aircraft carriers and see if you're able to guess who the aircraft carrier is named after.
Sounds reasonable.
Yes. So let's start off with the Big Stick. So this aircraft carrier's nickname is the Big Stick.
The Big Stick. Abraham Lincoln, because he was lanky and tall.
Oh, that's a deep cut, but no, it's not Abraham Lincoln. It's not the USS Abraham Lincoln. I shall give you a clue. It's from a very famous quote by this particular person. And again, I think you already know this, but for the sake of our audience, most US aircraft carriers, at least the current run of them for the past 30-40 years, have been named after presidents or famous admirals and sailors. In this case, it is a president. A quizzing favorite president, I might also add.
Ooh, interesting. A quizzing favorite president, we have covered JFK, and I know enough about JFK to say it is not JFK. A quizzing favorite would mean...
Not just us. I find this particular president pops up because there are lots of trivia associated with him. And very famous photographs
Okay.
of him as well.
Photographs, so probably 20th century.
Yes. Okay, I'll give you another clue, and this is my favorite portion of it. Before he became president, he was at one time the police commissioner of New York City.
Oh, this is this Teddy Roosevelt?
Yes, it is the USS Theodore
Ah.
Roosevelt. Because, as you may know, Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far."
Oh, right, yeah. Now that you say it, rings a bell.
Okay. So the next aircraft carrier I'm going to is the Shall Not Perish. Weird nickname, I know, but there is an aircraft carrier whose nickname is Shall Not Perish.
Are we again talking about a president?
Yes.
Give me a time frame perhaps for this.
Ooh, let's say the mid to late 19th century. I'm giving a wide swathe so that I don't give you the answer immediately.
Mid to
Mid to late 19th century.
mid to late 19th century. Well, I would go for the most famous option. Is it Lincoln?
Yes, it is Lincoln, because it's a
Okay.
it's a quote from his Gettysburg Address, and specifically this line:
Ah,
that we here highly resolve, these dead shall not have died in vain, that the nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government by the people, before the people, shall not perish from the earth. Shall not perish.
very cool, very cool. I do love Lincoln's writings.
Oh yeah, he's good.
There has been some controversy as to whether he has written all of it, but even the ones that he potentially might not have written or has definitely written, regardless, are very well written. And my favorite one has to be the letter to Mrs. Bixby that is quoted in Saving Private Ryan,
Ah,
which is the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice
yeah.
upon the altar of freedom. What a fantastic quote.
The turn of phrase. People just don't speak like that anymore. I'm going to the next one. This is a very simple one. The nickname of the aircraft carrier is GW.
George Washington.
In one, yes, it is the USS George Washington. The next
Okay.
one may be a little difficult, but it's very famous, so you may be still able to get it. I wouldn't be surprised because you are the Aditya Kashyap. The aircraft carrier whose nickname is The Buck Stops Here.
The buck stops here. This is not a precedent, right?
This is a president. This particular president had this phrase made into a sign that he kept on his desk in the Oval Office.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I was thinking in general first, but you're right. I have heard of this. I want to say it's either FDR or is it Truman? One of them.
Oh, very good. It is Truman. It is indeed the
Okay.
USS
Truman.
Harry S. Truman. For the edification of our audience, the buck stops here is a phrase that was popularized by President Harry S. Truman, who kept a sign with that phrase on his desk in the Oval Office. The phrase refers to the notion that the president has to make the decisions and accept the ultimate responsibility for these decisions. And an additional piece of trivia: Truman actually received the sign as a gift from a prison warden who was also an avid poker player.
So was this originally in the context of poker? The buck stops
Yeah.
here.
I think that in that case, it might be the chip stops here. Okay.
The chip stops.
Now, the last one in the American series. This one, I want you to try and guess. The aircraft carrier is known as Avenger.
Oh, that's easy. It is USS Bajaj.
Oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt. That hurt really badly.
The Bajaj Avenger. No, let us see. Avenger. And is this also named after a president?
Yes, it is named after a president.
Give me a time frame, perhaps.
Let's say post the 80s. I'm not giving you anything more specific than that.
Post 80s.
Yes.
So then it has to be. Actually, no, I was gonna say George Bush, the junior, George Bush Jr. for avenging, quote unquote, avenging the 9/11 attacks, but I don't know if that fits.
Is that your answer?
I am gonna settle on that, yeah.
Afsos, it is not George W. Bush. No, because I knew most people would and quite reasonably guess that it was Avenger because George W. Bush, went to war to avenge the attack on the US. But the name Avenger does not come from the action of avenging something. It actually comes from the name of something else. But you're very close with your answer. Just think a little harder.
Very close makes me think George H.W. Bush. Then.
Yes, it is George H.W. Bush because it was named after the TBM Avenger aircraft, which was flown by then Lieutenant George H.W. Bush in World War II. He was a naval hero.
Oh.
So he flew an Avenger aircraft, and because of that, the aircraft carrier is called Avenger. Just a few more. There is another one called Old Salt, Old Salt, or also known as Uncle Chester. That's not named after a president. It's not named after a president.
Arthur Chester. Oh, no. Okay.
So this is actually named for Admiral Chester Nimitz. If you've heard of the Nimitz class, exactly. So there's another one called Look Ahead. That's named after Admiral John Stennis. Now, the last actual question in this, okay, I am giving you the biggest clue that this is not an American aircraft carrier, but there is another aircraft carrier somewhere in the world whose motto is Ich dien.
Ich dien?
Yes. It literally means, it's in German, which says I serve. Ich dien.
Would it be too straightforward to say this is a German aircraft carrier?
No, it is not a German aircraft carrier.
Okay, that would have been too easy. Okay, then is it somebody that is related to the Germans? How many countries even have aircraft carriers? I know it's not a lot.
No, quite a few countries do have aircraft carriers. The usual suspects, obviously, the 5 in the Security Council. Then you have India.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, it can't be more than, I don't know how many, but it can't be more than 10, I imagine.
Yeah, not more than 10.
So I doubt any Indian aircraft carrier has a German
No.
motto.
We only have 2 aircraft carriers, and neither of them are, having a motto derived from German.
Russia, China, probably unlikely. So then I'm coming to Europe, which makes me think it could be France or it could be the UK. I'm going to venture a guess and I'm going to say UK.
Yes, it is the HMS Prince of Wales. The Prince of Wales's feathers are the heraldic badge of the Prince of Wales, the heir to the British throne. The badge consists of 3 white ostrich feathers encircled by a gold coronet with a ribbon below bearing the German motto Ich dien.
Okay, very cool.
I find it, it's not actually quite odd, but it's just quite odd when you go back to think of the fact that hardly any kings of England have been English.
Actually, that's the reason I went with the UK, because they do have German blood at some point pretty prominently.
That's what. Mountbatten, the name was changed from Battenberg. Right. I think the last king or Saxon king. Actually, no. Even the Saxons were kind of settlers in the British Isles. I think the Britons, or Brittany, they were the last people, and I think it was in the middle of the first millennium, at which point they had a last king. The last Saxon king was Harold II, who was defeated by William the Conqueror, who came from Normandy. So technically, he was French. So, and after that, they've had Frenchmen, Scotsmen, Germans on the throne, but hardly any, native Englishmen, so to speak. So that ends my series of aircraft carrier questions, inspired by NCIS, in which one episode Gibbs actually says that the big stick is Theodore Roosevelt, and when McGee guesses that the USS Abraham Lincoln might be Honest Abe, Gibbs corrects him and tells him, no, it's not the Honest Abe, it's the Shall Not Perish. And I thought, that's weird. I didn't know that aircraft carriers could have nicknames. So this particular question set was brought to you by NCIS.
I'm not surprised, actually, that they do have nicknames, but I am surprised at the nicknames themselves.
Yeah.
You're right. I would have gone with the Honest Abe, perhaps, but Shall Not Perish is pretty cool too.
Sidebar question, and I've put in too many questions already, but sidebar question. Do you know which US president was the first to be inducted into the Wrestling Hall of Fame?
Oh, that would be Lincoln.
Yes, and do you know for what?
He was.
He was a big wrestler. He was a big wrestler, that's true. But he is supposed to have invented, now this is apocryphal, but he is supposed to have invented a very classic wrestling move.
Oh, that I didn't know. I knew the wrestling fact, but I didn't know a move.
Yes, yes. So
In
this is
wrestling.
apocryphal
What is
because nobody mentions it by this particular name, but the description of the move is there in a couple of books about him from that time period. So he is believed to have been the first wrestler to do the choke slam, wherein the wrestler would catch somebody by the neck, lift them up off the ground, and then slam them down to the floor on their back. So Lincoln apparently used to do
Good
this.
for you, Lincoln. All right, all right.
Which is why I felt that Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is quite apt.
Of all the Lincoln films that could be made, him as a
Yeah,
vampire
forget
hunter
Daniel
is the one
Day-Lewis.
that you.
Forget Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah. The method acting can go suck it. It is all about the vampire hunting for Vineet.
Yes.
All right, okay. Well, since you started us off with American institutions,
Oh.
I'm going to move into my theme, which actually connects back to my joke answer of the day, which is Byju's. So it started off with tech. So I'm going to talk about tech giants,
Okay.
and a lot of them are American.
Oh God.
So all of my questions today are going to be about the tech giants, but it's going to be fun questions. It isn't exactly technical details about these companies. So let's see how many Vineet can figure out. Let's start with one of the biggest ones right now.
Mhm.
Instagram. Are you on Instagram, Vineet? You are on Instagram. I've seen
Yes,
that. But
with
you're not
all
very
of
active,
3
are you?
posts, the last of which I think was 10 years ago or 8 years ago. I don't know.
Okay. You were an early adopter and an early
Abandoned.
retiree of Instagram.
I abandoned it. I ran away from it
Okay.
screaming.
Abandoned. All right. Well, you perhaps made the right choice, but in any case, the question today is, which is the most followed Instagram account?
Ooh, I would think it'd be some kind of sportsman, right? A sports person.
A lot of people. So the thing is, this is a question that I love asking in my trivia nights whenever I conduct them in person. And I get lots of fun answers. Very often, Cristiano Ronaldo,
Yeah.
Lionel Messi. Great guesses, but not the correct answer. So, yeah, go for it. Try some other
Okay, so
answers.
it's not the usual one. It's LeBron James.
Okay, so let me now try to help you. It's not from this field of sports.
Oh, yeah, not from the field. Wait, you said tech. Wait, does Instagram have an account? Does Instagram have an Instagram account?
Ooh,
No, that would be Meta.
you got there. You got there very quickly. Indeed, it is Meta because Instagram's Instagram account is the most followed Instagram account. Try saying that 5 times in a row.
And the fact that it is actually
Uh,
Meta and the company is named Meta. Boom! Inception.
It is. Inception did happen because Instagram's Instagram account is the most followed Instagram account, and that is indeed, as Vineet put it, Meta. So yeah, well done, Vineet. You cracked that very quickly. I expected a little bit more of trial and error there, but you are obviously gifted at this. You should really start a podcast about this trivia business.
Yes, yes.
I'll move on to my next question, but before that, let's hear yours.
Okay. This is a very guessy question. I don't expect an exact year or an answer or something. Obviously, I can't give you too many chances to guess with this either. Right. So I'm going to restrict your guesses to 3 for this particular question. It's because of the type of question it is, not a reflection on any kind of fascist tendency on my part to restrict your answers or anything like that. Right. In which decade was the first 3D film made?
That is a fun question. First 3D film. So I know there have been multiple attempts at 3D films, and the current iteration of the colored lenses while viewing 3D films is not the earliest. There have been other versions of 3D films. And I'm guessing the earlier ones were different. I want to say 1920, 1920s.
Why do I even bother? Why do I even bother to come up with a question like that? I was like, oh, he'll think it's the 50s or something, or the 40s maybe. But no, it is the 1920s. The first ever 3D
Okay.
film was called The Power of Love. It was an American
Hmm.
silent drama film and the first 3D feature film
Okay.
worldwide. The premiere was on September 27, 1922 at the Ambassador Hotel Theatre in Los Angeles. The 3D version of the film is presumed lost. The film was later shown in 2D
Okay.
as Forbidden Lover. This 2D version is also believed lost. So it has been lost
Oh,
to the sands of time. But the first ever 3D
very
film
interesting. Very interesting.
was from 1920s.
Very cool. That was honestly unexpected. I thought I might be off by a decade at least, but I'm
Was-
glad I got that on my first try.
So modest.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
Coming back to tech and another similar question.
Mhm.
We spoke about Instagram. Let's move on to X, formerly known as Twitter.
Okay.
Quick question before the actual question. Do you know who the most followed Twitter account is?
Ugh, I suck at these. The most followed Twitter account, I'm going to try. Does Twitter have its own account?
Well, for all intents and purposes at this point, I guess Elon Musk is Twitter.
Yeah.
So it is Elon Musk's
Oh, okay.
Twitter, which is the most.
Yeah,
followed
I
account.
don't think that counts because if you own the platform, I mean, like he could just go into the code and make it like, okay, 11 billion people follow me.
I would not be surprised if Elon Musk did come up with 11 billion followers, but in this case, regardless of how he got there, he is at the top.
Yeah.
Let's do the actual question though.
Oh, this wasn't the question.
So my question was gonna be my question was gonna be in India, an Indian account.
Okay.
The most followed Indian account is Narendra Modi.
Yes.
The second most followed Indian account is Virat Kohli.
Okay.
What is number 3?
Ooh. Narendra Modi, Virat Kohli. Okay, I've absolutely no knowledge of this, so I'll have to kind of, throw out a lot of guesses and see what sticks. Is it a cricketer?
No, it's not a cricketer. It's not even from the field of sports.
Okay, so then I'll go Bollywood. Is it Shah Rukh Khan?
No, Shah Rukh Khan is, I believe, number 7.
Ooh, somebody with more followers than Shah Rukh Khan. Blasphemous.
There are actually a bunch of Bollywood folks above Shah Rukh.
Really? Oh, okay. But I guess he's not very... Oh, wait, is it Amitabh Bachchan? He's very, very, very active on Twitter.
Amitabh Bachchan, you're right, is number 4.
Oh, so close. Who else in India is on Twitter that much? Hey, don't tell me it's Kangana Ranaut or something, no?
It isn't Kangana Ranaut,
Thank
no.
God. There is still some justice in the world. Okay, give me a clue here. I need some... shine light on me.
Okay, so you guessed, or rather I told you it's not from the sporting arena. It's not even from entertainment.
Wait, is this a temple account like the Tirupati temple or something like that?
Interesting guess, but no. It's from political sphere.
Shashi Tharoor.
Good guess. Again, one of those questions that I ask very often in quizzes. And Shashi Tharoor is one of the common guesses I get once I say politics.
Oh, okay.
I also get a lot of Rahul Gandhi,
Okay.
which I don't know why people guess, but
Yeah,
I guess
no,
there are
I
some
wouldn't
people
have
who
guessed
still
Rahul
believe.
Gandhi. But the political sphere. Wait, is it the President of India's account?
Ooh, very close. Not
Oh, the
President of
PM
India, no,
office account then.
but very close. The PMO is number 3.
Oh.
You are right, Vineet.
Oh,
So technically, Modi ji has both number 1 and
Number
number 3
three.
spot.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
Kohli played spoil sport.
Kohli actually recently went to number 2.
Okay.
So the way this question used to be phrased was very interesting because it used to be at number 1, it is Narendra Modi. At number 3, it is Kohli. Can you guess who's at number 2?
Oh,
And that always used to throw a little bit of a
yes.
spanner in the wheels for people. But always fun to realize, oh, technically Modi ji is 2 out of the top 3 spots. Yeah. The PMO account is number 3.
So the Prime Minister's office's Twitter account is at number 3 in India. Very interesting. Following on with that same framing of question, The US military is the number one buyer of explosives worldwide. Who's number two?
Buyer of explosives.
Yes. Because the US military, I mean, like they don't manufacture most of the thing. They have private contractors and people. Like even the biggest airplanes, the most advanced airplanes, are not built by the military themselves. They contract it out to Grumman or to, JPL or
Lockheed
Lockheed
Martin.
Martin, exactly. So they usually contract it out to a defense manufacturer. So they are technically buyers still. So the US military, same for explosives. So the US military is the number one buyer of explosives worldwide. Who's number two?
Is it by any chance Israel?
No.
Okay, I know Israel spends a pretty hefty sum on its military.
Yes.
I don't know if China would buy and Russia would buy. Maybe they just
Yes, so
manufacture it. So
China is the provider for most of these explosives. But let me also just put to you that you're not technically wrong in one aspect, because China is also the largest consumer of explosives, but for industrial applications.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense too.
They do a lot of mining now.
Explosives and military use. I guess I'm thinking of a big land border.
I did not say
So then
military
India
use.
might
I
be a
just
good
said the
contender.
US military is the number one buyer of explosives. Who is at number two?
Oh, okay. So then it doesn't necessarily have to be a
Not
country?
necessarily. Now, this may just be me giving you a clue, or it may be me just misleading you. How would you know?
It's too late in the night, Vineet, to be playing games with me, but I will
No,
indulge
I'm
you.
playing games because I'm
Um,
loopy right now.
Oh, I have recorded with Late Night Vineet. He's a whole different beast. I know what I'm up against. All right. So I'm going to try and say, is it some sort of roadway construction or
No, nothing to do
national
with
highway construction?
nothing to do with construction.
Nothing to do with construction and still explosives. Interesting. So then maybe some mining company?
No,
Okay, then I need a hint.
they are from the entertainment industry.
Oh, that is so much fun. Just explosives in the entertainment industry. I'm gonna say FIFA.
No, why would FIFA need explosives?
Okay.
Oh, it would be fun, like if somebody
Yeah.
commits a foul, instead of showing a yellow or red card, blow them up.
But I was thinking more of fireworks, but then I don't think you need
Oh,
explosives
okay.
to
You're
buy
thinking fireworks, then you should be thinking of something else, perhaps. You're on the right line when it comes to fireworks.
Okay, but you also said entertainment, right? So and I went a bit too tangentially
Yes,
into
this is
sports as
more
entertainment.
directly connected to entertainment.
And then I would say Disney.
Yes, and you would be right.
So I'm guessing, is this for Disneyland or Disney World or one of those
Worldwide,
two
basically,
things?
for worldwide, they shoot off so many fireworks that the company, I think, is the biggest consumer of fireworks also in the world, and the world's second largest buyer of explosives. Disney, the House of Mouse.
Ooh, that would be interesting because Disney also loves to do everything and own everything, which reminds me of the other company which does everything and owns everything, which is Acme.
Ah, yes.
And Acme is very much is in the business of explosives as well. So
Yes, but Acme is actually
Disney
a
buying it.
competitor
Oh, that's true. That's true.
because it's from Warner Brothers.
You're right. Yeah. So not really Disney, but great question nonetheless. I loved it. Very cool. Okay. I love that you're going with the American military and I'm going with the tech companies on this
The
episode.
military industrial
Let's
complex
see how.
is in the house today.
Let's try one more in the tech space. And now we are talking about the biggest name in social media, and that will obviously have to go to Facebook. So, do you know Facebook, when it was designed in 2004,
Hmm.
Andrew McCallum designed Facebook's first logo? And this had the, well, let's say a close representation of a human face. Do you know who this face was modeled after?
Oh, a human face. First of all, that
Hmm.
seems a really bad thing for a logo of like something like Facebook, but still. Human face.
Indeed.
Uh,
And I'd say to a certain degree, even recognizable as that person. So it's not like too far out an interpretation of what they would look like. It is close enough as a representation.
Was this like an accident where he drew the picture of like a mask and people thought it was Zuckerberg?
Oh, that is hilarious, but no, not in this case.
No.
This is actually based off of an actor that Andrew McCullum really liked.
An actor. And
Yeah.
for Facebook.
Not closely related to Facebook. It just so happens that the first logo of Facebook was designed after him. And I don't think it was publicly acknowledged. So this is more of like an urban legend, or a
Okay.
lot of people agree to it
Ooh.
or say it is the case, reliable sources, but it isn't exactly a reproduction of that face.
Okay. Wait, who starred in A Man Without a Face? Was it Mel Gibson?
Great guess, but no, again, not. It has nothing to do with anything to do with face, rather.
Okay.
So it isn't a face-off reference or a Jim
Oh
Carrey
shit!
mask
I should
reference.
have gone with Face Off. I should have gone with Face Off.
No, none of those answers would be very accurate. So this actor has won an Oscar, a BAFTA, 2 Emmys, 2 Tonys, and 4 Golden Globes. He was also nominated for a Grammy, and that is a long list of his achievements.
Ooh, so he's an EGOT winner.
And he also has had 9 nominations for Academy Awards.
9 Academy Award nominations. And how many did you say he won?
Indeed. He has won only once.
Is this Peter O'Toole?
No, but in 1993, he won his Academy Award.
Academy Award in 1993.
The first time he was nominated was 1973, and the last nomination that he has received, or the most recent nomination he has received, was in 2020.
2020?
Both 1973 and 2020 were Best Supporting Actor. His win in 1993 was for Best Actor.
93 Best Actor.
He was consecutively nominated in 73, 74, 75, and 76.
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino is the right answer. Well done.
Yeah,
Well
because
done.
when you told me
Al Pacino is
consecutive
the correct answer.
consecutive ones, that's The Godfather, Godfather Part 2, Dog Day Afternoon. Which was the fourth one?
He missed one in between. It was Serpico.
Serpico. Yes.
His win in 1993, obviously, for
Scent of a Woman, yes.
Most recent nomination was for The Irishman.
The Irishman. The Irishman was a little, how shall I say, a little bit of a damp squib.
Just too long. Way too long.
Way too long.
But in this case, the answer to the original question, in case you've forgotten already, was who was the face after which the first ever Facebook logo was modeled? And that was Al Pacino. Al Pacino's face was the Facebook, official face of Facebook for a while.
Yes, it makes sense. I'll tell you why. Because the logo and the tagline for Facebook were going to go together. Right? You'd have Al Pacino's face,
Okay.
and then they would have the tagline, "Say hello to my little friend. Come make friends on Facebook."
That would work. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Say hello to a lot of little
Yes,
friends.
a lot of little friends. Yes. Okay. Staying with somewhat of an entertainment theme, I want you to guess this particular sitcom. I'm going to talk about a sitcom. I'm going to give you a lot of its details, and I want you to tell me which sitcom this is. And I guarantee you, up front, you already know which sitcom. I mean, you already know the sitcom, guaranteed, right?
Okay.
So the pilot for the sitcom first aired, and for our audience, sitcom stands for situational comedy. Think Friends or Seinfeld. The pilot for the sitcom first aired in 1959 and was originally geared towards a primarily adult audience. This was reflected in the comedy, which resembled the primetime sitcoms of the era, with family issues resolved by the end of each episode, as well as the inclusion of a laugh track. The first 2 seasons were co-sponsored by Winston Cigarettes, and characters appeared in several black and white television commercials for Winston. The night after it premiered, Variety magazine called it a disaster, and the series was among many that debuted in a vast wasteland of 1960-61 television season, considered one of the worst in television history up to that point. Despite the mixed critical reviews following its premiere, it has generally been considered a television classic and was rerun continuously for 5 decades after its end. Following the show's cancellation in 1966, a film based upon the series was created. The name of that film was The Man Called X. X derived from it's derived from the name of the sitcom itself, and it was a musical spy caper that parodied James Bond and other secret agents. I want you to identify this sitcom, which has spawned 9 spin-off shows, 5 TV movies apart from the one I mentioned, and 12 TV specials.
No, I'm a bit lost. I don't know which TV show was that. It's not MASH, right?
It's not MASH. It's not MASH.
How about Cheers?
No. Cheers was in the 80s and early 90s, yeah.
It's slightly more recent. 1953. It can't be I Love Lucy.
It is not I Love Lucy.
Okay, then I don't know.
Okay, my first clue to you would be that focus on the thing I mentioned, that the show, when it aired, was originally geared towards a primarily adult audience. Today, it would be considered the direct opposite. At least the later episodes, which are rerun, and the spin-off shows and specials and all, are all diametrically opposite when it comes to audience.
This is again not Sesame Street, right?
No, it's not Sesame Street.
But no, that wasn't meant to be. That wasn't meant to be for adults. Oh, 1953 is too early for
59,
Simpsons.
59.
Well. Sorry, 59 is still too early for Simpsons.
Yes, the Simpsons were the early 90s, 91, 92, something like that. And they first appeared on the Tracy Ullman show.
Sitcom. It can't be an animated show because you did say sitcom.
Why not?
Would a sitcom
the reason why I specifically mentioned to the audience that sitcom stands for situational comedy. It stands for situational comedy. Nothing in the title says it has to be live situational comedy or it has to be live action. Like, you would call the Simpsons a kind of sitcom, right?
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, by that definition. So I'm going to try to venture a guess. Is it either the Flintstones or the Jetsons?
It is the Flintstones.
Flintstones, right.
I came across this fact when I read this piece of trivia that said that the Flintstones was sponsored by Winston Cigarettes. And I was like, that can't be true. And then you go down the rabbit hole and realize that when Hanna-Barbera made the Flintstones, it was intended to be a block of adult programming, as in cartoons for adults. So that's why Winston Cigarettes and whatnot. But after the first 2 seasons, they realized that their target audience would be much better served by making a little more, and especially after the birth of Pebbles, the baby, they moved it to a more younger audience. And then there was a musical spy caper called The Man Called Flintstone, which was a parody of James Bond.
Oh, okay. All right. So that was a great question. And moving on from that fantastic question to hopefully one that is equally interesting. Which tech company, and we're back to my theme, which tech company started off with the name Tote?
How do you spell that?
T-O-T-E.
Tote. As in tote bag, that kind of tote.
I couldn't find a rationale behind the name.
Okay.
I'll have a look at it, but it was called Tote.
Okay. It was called Tote, T-O-T-E. Let's assume it's a tote bag. So something that would be dealing with something that can be carried around.
Okay, before you continue down this path, let me also give you a little bit more information and actually technically even more trivia. So this was created by somebody called, one of the creators rather, was somebody called Ben Silbermann. Ben Silbermann, in a recent interview where Sam Altman was being interviewed, an anecdote about Ben Silbermann came up. And Sam Altman, in case you're not sure,
OpenAI
is a guy who is the president of Y Combinator and was a Stanford dropout. And yeah, he's done a bunch of things in the tech space. So he was in that interview talking about Ben Silbermann, and he mentioned this very interesting thing. When everyone thought his product was a joke, he recruited initial users by chatting up strangers in coffee shops. He really did. He just walked around Palo Alto and said, will you please use my product? He also used to run around the Apple store in Palo Alto, and he would like to set all the browsers to the homepage of his product really quickly before they caught him and kicked him out.
Okay.
So that is a little piece of trivia associated to this company and to the founder that Sam Altman shared.
Something that an app that people could use, and that he's going around to coffee shops to get people to use the app. He didn't go to an office or something, right? So this is most probably a. Is this Tinder?
That's a great guess, but no, it's not Tinder.
Okay. I don't know if Tinder has a website.
Yeah, I think it is mostly on phone.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you a little bit of context to Tote, which is the original name.
Okay.
And Tote was supposed to serve as a virtual replacement for paper catalogs.
Virtual replacement for paper catalogs. So an app that would be like a catalog. Is it a shopping?
Indeed.
Is it an e-commerce shopping app kind of thing?
No, not really.
Another clue, please.
Okay, so let me give you the niche. Let me give you the niche in social media that this company occupies, and that is image sharing.
Image sharing. Is this Flickr?
No, that's a great guess. Image sharing, that's the first name that would pop to your head. But this isn't image sharing like licensed images being shared. I mean, sure, that happens too, but this is more user generated stuff that other users might like. I'm going to quickly just read out the first line on Wikipedia.
Oh God.
Tell me what you think.
Okay.
X is an American image sharing and social media service designed to enable saving and discovery of information like recipes, home, style,
Oh, this is
motivation,
Pinterest.
and inspiration. Pinterest is the right
Oh,
answer.
yes.
Well done. Pinterest was the company which was initially called Tote,
Okay.
and Ben Sibelman, along with Paul Scaria, were the founders and were the co-creators. And when Sam Altman was being interviewed, he mentioned how Ben Silberman, when everyone thought Pinterest was a joke, actually recruited initial users for Pinterest by chatting up strangers and by going to various Apple stores and setting the homepage as Pinterest. So somebody walking into the store might see it and be intrigued and sign up for this potentially.
Nice. Nice. A lot of passion. He's what you call a true entrepreneur.
Indeed. As entrepreneurial as one can be, I guess.
I'm guessing he's a billionaire by now.
I would imagine. I haven't really checked up on it, but should be one or close to one.
You know, there was this movie called Yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it. It's about a guy who travels.
The one about...
Yeah, he wakes up in a world where nobody knows Beatles songs. So then he sings Beatles songs and writes it as if it's his own creation. Just imagine if you had all these ideas for stuff, and then one day you woke up in a world without any of it. And you already know the business plan, you already know everything.
The funny thing about this is a lot of these plans weren't unique when they first came up. Facebook wasn't exactly breaking new ground in terms of the service it was offering.
Orkut and MySpace at the time.
Yeah. MySpace was there, Orkut was there. Pinterest also wasn't exactly earth-shattering in its approach. But a lot of these were just at the right time in the right place and perhaps the right people at the helm of it. At least at that stage in their life, they were the right people. And that's what made them great. So even if tomorrow in the world I wake up and there is no Facebook, I doubt I'll be able to create a Facebook and have it become as wildly successful as
true.
Mark Zuckerberg managed to make his version.
You know, if I could send a message back in time to my parents or to me in the time, I would send them stock tips. Buy Wipro in the 80s at 10,000 rupees. For 10,000 rupees, you'll have hundreds of crores today.
And that's where the butterfly effect kicks in, and Wipro is, before you know it, crashing.
No, I'm someone who believes in the inertia of time.
Oh, okay.
No, so I don't think you can do anything to change the major kind of linchpin events of time. Right. Like if you tried if you went back and tried to kill Hitler as a kid, you wouldn't be able to. I'm saying the inertia of time would prevent you from doing that, because the effect that man has had downstream is so huge that I believe that you wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting philosophy. I also love how Are You Quizzing Me late night transforms at some point into a philosophical podcast to people who have absolutely no credibility when
Yes,
it comes to philosophy
absolutely nothing.
are still not going to be stopped from speaking their mind about it.
Yeah. And next week we'll deal about how causality works in the quantum world. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I like how so many of regular listeners of Are You Quizzing Me showed us how in the Wrapped we featured in the top 5
Yeah.
Spotify Wrapped. And at this point, we are just challenging them. Hey, can you stick with us any longer?
Yeah, so true.
Okay. I believe that brings us to the end of this episode.
Yes, for the regular programming. Aditya, what is your special question of the week?
My special question for the week is Flintstones, if they had to be sponsored by a different company, which would be more relevant today, and back in the day, Winston Cigarettes was it, but today in 2023, which company should be sponsoring Flintstones if it was created today?
Okay, and an additional question from me. I'm just adding on to that question. Who would be their brand ambassador?
Okay, wow, Vineet is joining in. I love this. Okay.
I just hope I can remember what I was thinking of right now next week.
Time to make a note. All right. You had an audience question?
Yes, the audience question for today was about the first song to air on MTV, which was the first music video channel. And it was a song in 1981 by The Bugles, which had a very fitting name and a very ironic one. So, what was the name of the song was the question. Aditya, do you have any guesses about this?
I believe it is Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yes, and you would be right. So, it's very ironic that the first ever music video on MTV was called Video Killed the Radio Star, talking about how the death of radio. And we've now seen how the internet and streaming has killed MTV. A very meta
Indeed, it
episode
has.
today.
Yeah, wow, I love it. I love it. It is philosophical in many realms.
Yes. Aditya, what's your pop culture recommendation for this week?
Before I give my recommendation for this week, I would love to point out that if you have seen the video, Vineet, of Video Killed the Radio Star, you would notice a very famous face on the keys. Do you know who's in the keys?
No, I have not actually seen this video. It's a little before my time.
I don't want to leave it as a cliffhanger for our audience members. So I'm just going to reveal it right now, but do check it out. It is Hans Zimmer.
Oh, I should have guessed this. Because, again, and this is again another additional piece of trivia. When Doctor Who was cancelled, there was a concert, a fan concert done to try and revive the series. And guess who was on the keys at that time? Hans Zimmer,
Exactly,
Mr. Inception
Hans
himself.
Zimmer it is the man. Hans Zimmer was on the keys in the first ever MTV video. And like you said, in the Doctor Who fan
Revival concert.
as well.
Didn't work though, but still.
Well, that's history. And you asked me for my pop culture recommendation. And I'm going to recommend a YouTube channel that I'm a huge fan of. And this one's called Binging with Babish.
Oh, I know this. I binge this episode, this channel quite often. I wait for him to. I think it's called now the Babish Culinary Universe.
A Babish Culinary Universe includes a bunch of other series as well, but he does continue with Binging with Babish whenever he does videos from. And this is the specialty that shot him to fame. He basically does recipe videos, food videos, but the food that he prepares is usually from movies and TV shows.
Yes.
So an iconic dish or an iconic recipe that is mentioned in a movie or a TV show, he'll recreate it and teach you how to make it. And I have actually followed him on multiple occasions. He recently started producing videos again since the strikes in Hollywood ended. So he has started making the videos all over again. And good time to get in on it and binge it, as Vineet mentioned, if you haven't seen it before.
Yes. I liked his presentation style where initially you never saw his face. It was only the hairy forearms. And then the hairy forearms themselves had kind of an evolutionary arc where initially there was no tattoo. And then there were a couple of tattoos. And then he got the tattoo of the, what is that, the fork with spaghetti on it?
Right, right,
So
right.
then you can.
I believe he has a knife as well, or a
Yes,
tattoo.
he keeps
So yeah,
getting
his
more. He keeps
hands are
getting more. Yeah, but yeah.
his hands are prominently featured in the videos. You see his hands doing the magic. And yeah, binging with Babish. Check it out.
My pop culture recommendation for this week is actually a trilogy of movies. Many of you may have heard of this or watched this because it is quite popular. But for those who haven't, it is a must watch. The trilogy is a trilogy of Korean movies. And the movies are The Outlaws, The Roundup, and the third part, which is The Roundup No Way Out. If you've watched The Eternals, you may have noticed the Korean gentleman, the gigantic Korean gentleman, playing Gilgamesh, the actor known as Dong Lee. So he's the main character, he's the main actor, he's the lead actor in all three movies. And these are basically crime movies. It's based on a group of policemen who fight crime in South Korea, and they do it with panache, with humor, and the story is amazing. It's so natural, it seems you get immersed in the movie very quickly, and Don Lee is a gigantic personality on screen, both literally and figuratively. So I would highly recommend that you go watch all three. The first part is The Outlaws, the second is called The Roundup, and the third is called The Roundup No Way Out. And a fourth movie is due to release next year, so watch out for that as well. They're planning, I think, a total of 8 movies. All three are fantastic movies. A lot of humor, a lot of comedy, a lot of action. Just watching Don Lee slap people, that in itself is worth the price of admission.
Okay. Well, I'm always excited to see people being slapped, I guess. So
Yeah.
I will check this out.
And the man has a hand that's about as wide as my waist. And as you know, Aditya, I am not an insubstantial person. So when I tell you that he's got a huge hand, trust me, he's got a huge hand.
All right. That is an incentive enough to watch this trilogy, I guess, now.
Yes, definitely. So, to our dear audience, I say this. It is time to say goodbye. It is the end of our episode. Thank you all for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoyed the show and learned something new. If you liked what you heard, please consider subscribing to our podcast, and please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Please subscribe from, as Aditya mentioned, we've had a download from Spotify called Spotify Wrapped, and what it basically told us is there are more people who are fans of our show than those who have subscribed. So please subscribe to our podcast. It helps us reach a wider audience, allows more people to discover and enjoy the show. We'd also love to hear from you, feedback, suggestions, trivia. You can also send us questions to be asked on the episode. You just have to send them to areyoquizzingme@gmail.com and mention the name of the quizmaster in the subject line so that so that you can tell us who you want to ask the question. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more episodes with you in the future. You can also reach us on Instagram at areyoquizzingme. Thanks again for tuning in and have a great day. Aditya will be back after the musical sting with the fact check.
See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.